Welcome to today's explainer. I'm genuinely thrilled we're tackling this today because we are going to definitively dismantle what is arguably one of the oldest, most notoriously frustrating philosophical traps in human history. And the best part? We're not using wishy-washy philosophy to do it. We are going to use the concrete, undeniable physics of information theory. So, let's jump right in.
So here's that classic Socratic hook we've all heard a million times. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Now, you're probably expecting me to give you some ambiguous, purely theoretical answer about the nature of the mind, right? Well, actually, scratch that. Brace yourselves, because the hard, physics-based answer is simply, yes, it absolutely does. And by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand the exact mechanics of why.
Section 1. Information needs no observer.
To really get why the answer is yes, we need a complete paradigm shift. We kind of have to break down reality from the ground up. Specifically, we need to completely separate the physical event taking place from our own subjective human experience of it. We've literally spent centuries confusing two very different things. Think of it as a stark dichotomy. On one side, you have the actual existence of information. This is totally observer-independent. It's the actual physical pressure wave generated by that falling tree. On the other side, you have the rendering of information, which is entirely observer-dependent. This is the biological experience of you actually hearing the sound. So the existence of a signal is just fundamentally separate from the rendering of an experience.
Because when you think about it, the universe is really just this massive physical machine that's constantly generating data, completely independent of us. A photon sitting at exactly 700 nanometers. It exists whether or not there's a human eye around to catch it. A chemical gradient exists in the soil even if there's no biological nose to smell it. And, absolutely crucial for our tree scenario, a physical pressure wave of information exists without an eardrum to vibrate against. The universe frankly doesn't wait for us to look at it to exist.
Section 2. The internal rendering engine.
Okay, so if the universe is constantly generating all the subjective data entirely on its own, where do we actually fit into the picture? Well, in dense physics and philosophy, there's this term called qualia. Usually it's pretty vaguely defined as just a felt quality. But our source material gives us a much more precise, digestible definition. It defines qualia as information events rendered from inside a constrained processing node. Now, don't let the jargon scare you. A constrained processing node is just an architectural term for a biological receiver, like your ear. It's just translating raw physics into a sensation that you actually feel.
Let's actually walk through this process step by step so we can anchor this heavy jargon directly back to our falling tree. Step 1, the tree falls. That's the physical event. Step 2, a pressure wave is created in the air. That right there is the information. Step 3, an eardrum receives it. Your ear is acting as that constraint architecture. And step 4, the sound is heard. That is the rendering. Now look closely at this flow. The information already definitively exists at step 2. You don't actually need step 3 or 4 for the physical noise to be completely real.
And the really crucial point here is that there is no magical hard problem or some unbridgeable gap. It's the exact same event, just observed from different geometric positions. If you're outside the biological node, in what's termed the Q3 substrate, it's just a measurable physical signal. If you move inside the node, the Q1 identity, your constraint architecture is processing it. And the final output, the Q7 rendering, well, that's the felt experience. It's really just one continuous pipeline.
Which leads us to this absolute game changer of a realization. Information came first, experience is downstream. Experience doesn't magically create the universe. The universe creates information, and our biology just happens to catch a tiny, tiny fraction of it as it flows by.
Section 3. The Totality Event Frame. Now, let's zoom out, like way, way out. From the biology of the human eardrum to the absolute metaphysical macro scale, if humans aren't the ultimate observers of reality, what is? Well, meet the Totality Event Frame, or the TEF. Our sources define this as a contiguous static snapshot containing the full fractal depth of reality's geometry of definition. Okay, what does that actually mean for us? It means the universe itself is acting as the ultimate observer. It's like this giant cosmic ledger that constantly logs every single physical coordinate, every interaction, every motion, regardless of whether humans are hanging out in that coordinate or not.
So let's apply this directly back to our forest. The universe doesn't need our ears. When that giant tree snaps and hits the ground, the event generates a physical pressure wave of information that interacts with the air, the dirt, the surrounding environment. And all of that data, it is permanently recorded and conserved within the Totality Event Frame. The universe essentially heard it simply by logging the data.
Section 4. The debate is settled.
All right, it is time to bring the hammer down. Let's completely dismantle this original riddle with everything we've just covered. Just look at how we've been framing this debate for literally hundreds of years. Asking, did anyone experience the sound, is honestly kind of a banal anthropocentric question. It arrogantly assumes human experience is the absolute center of reality. But asking the precise physics question, did the event generate a pressure wave of information? Well, that gives us a very concrete answer. Framing the whole riddle around human experiences is at the end of the day entirely redundant.
So the myth is officially busted. Yes, it makes a noise. Debating this is really as banal as asking, does this thing exist and produce information? I mean, our senses pick up external information, but events generate it. Ergo, yes. Asking if it made a sound is as simple as asking, did it create a pressure wave of information? Yes or no. It's simple. Whether there was a receiver standing there is completely redundant. The tree falling produced a pressure wave of information. Period.
I really want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. Think about the sheer scale of this for a second. If you could capture space and time in the past and actually read the universe's totality event frame, wouldn't you see the noise that humans missed? You'd be able to look at the raw data and easily say, yeah, the tree made a noise, it just wasn't picked up by any human. It really leaves you to marvel at the fact that right now, literally all around us, the universe is constantly recording an infinite symphony of unobserved information. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the mechanics of our incredible reality.